Hey everybody, today I'm making a quick video just talking about the new games I've acquired since the last one of these videos. And because the last one I bought so many games due to the UK Games Expo, this one is going to be a bit shorter and I've only got 9 games or expansions to talk about. But before I get started on the video, I want to give a shout out to the show's sponsor, keyender.co.uk, who are my go-to online retailer. And if you use the link in the show notes or the QR code, then you can get 5% off your first order. But let's start with these two games. This is Iliad and Icor. So these have just been fulfilled from Bitewing Games. So there was a crowdfunding campaign, but I think you can go straight to retail with these. And these are two new Knizia designs, and they're both two-player only games. Now these games I've really been anticipating, and that's quite rare for me to say nowadays because I'm normally just go with the flow, and when it gets to me I'll play it. But these ones, I thought they sounded really solid and interesting concepts. And having said that, I have also read the rulebooks, and it does sound really promising. So I've not played these yet, but I'm really excited to, and hopefully I'll get to play these in the next week or so. So let's start with Iliad. So Iliad, this one is basically this kind of grid based game, as you are placing these tiles out on your colour, and you're trying to have the highest total in each row and column when it comes to scoring. But there are different powers that come with the different tiles. So some of them will let you move your opponent's pieces or move your own pieces and so on. And basically when you complete this row or column, you'll get first choice of the tile you take, and your opponent will get the other one. And you're essentially trying to get all the different gods, and you're trying to kind of shaft your opponent by getting these negative points. So it sounds really tight, it sounds clever, and by all accounts it's getting very good reviews. So again, very promising for Iliad. Icor sounds a bit more abstract in its nature, as you are trying to deposit your little discs on this grid. I think it's like a 6x6 grid here, and you do that by moving your pieces around the board, and all the pieces move in different ways. So think of something like Onitama. It's on that kind of on that level, but I think you're maybe a bit more dynamic than Onitama in how far you can spread across the board. But yeah, you're essentially trying to shed your pieces. You're trying to send your opponent's pieces back to them, and it's all about trying to place things strategically and block and so on. And there's a little bit of expansion content in here as well, because I did back the Kickstarter. But still, they both sound very good. I think maybe this one's going to be a bit more on the fence than the other one, because it does sound very abstract, but it does sound good. So that's the most important thing. So I'm very excited to try Icor and Iliad. Another game that I've got a lot of high hopes for is 3 Chapters. So this is a pretty simple sounding card game, and I've not played this one. It has a degree of trick taking, but it's more just like highest card wins. But with each of these cards that you're playing, they also have a kind of unique scoring criteria on them. So I'm not going to go through the cards, but basically, not only are you trying to win the trick, you're also trying to exploit the power and get more of these kind of scoring tokens. But not only are you scoring every round of the cards played, at the end of the game, for every card you've played, you'll also score all those cards in combination with each other. So it sounds like almost like a Fantasy Realms trick-taking game. The artwork is wonderful with these fairy tale characters, and this one, again, it sounds like it's got all of the check marks to be a big hit. So hopefully that will be the case, and hopefully it's good. So that is 3 Chapters. An older game here with Metro X. So this is a pretty quirky little flip and write game. Gonna have played this one, so I'll be ready for review soon. And you're basically flipping cards over, you're populating these little trains, and depending on the number you put on them, you are ticking off that many boxes. But as you can see here from this little preview, a lot of the tracks overlap with each other, meaning that you can use some routes to boost other routes. So you always go for the last empty spot. So if you fill up loads of routes without even touching one of your other ones, you can use that, as I said, as a bit of a booster to reach the end and score more points. A pretty difficult game to explain, but I'm excited to share my thoughts about Metro X. A more unknown game, this is a prototype that was very kindly sent to me, called Ducks in a row. So this is like a party-esque deduction game, as you are trying to work out the order of these ducks that are hidden behind one player's screen, and you do that by playing these action cards that will give you these different actions, such as maybe you could ask the conductor, if you say to the conductor, between these three ducks, what's in the middle? Or are these two ducks next to each other? And so on. And you're trying to, again, use that information to put your ducks to mirror the conductor's ducks, and then hopefully you can beat your opponent to doing that. So I think I have recorded my content on this one. It's got a lot of promise. I think there's a few little tweaks I would have put into the game, and hopefully I've talked about that in my review. So that is Ducks in a Row, which will be coming to crowdfunding sooner or later. A game that I did actually pick this one up just after the UK Games Expo, but I wanted to show it off a little bit more. This is Toy Battle by Paolo Mori and Alessandro Zucchini. So Paolo Mori, I think, makes some of the coolest two-player games, and to be honest, some of the best games I've played in terms of how different they are and how creative he is. This one is a bit different in the style of other Paolo Mori games. So this is a two-player head-to-head game. It's super light and it's only 15 minutes long. So this is actually a head-to-head style game, as you are trying to either collect a certain amount of stars based on these maps, or you are trying to reach your opponent's base by playing these animal, or not animal tiles, these toy tiles. And all of these toy tiles you see have a certain strength value. And also they will have a unique power. The powers themselves are super easy to understand, like just maybe teleport anywhere, or some of them can be placed on any number rather than just being on the lower numbers, or remove some of your opponent's tiles and so on. But the game is so slight that these powers feel very useful. And there's like 8 different boards that come with the game, all with a slight different flavour. So again, I have played this one a few times. I'm going to be a bit coy on my thoughts on the game, but it's an interesting one that I'm surprised hasn't been circulated around more in the kind of board game zeitgeist at the moment, because again, it's such a prolific designer. It's a cool theme. Two-player games are always popular, and I'm just surprised it's not getting talked about more, because I've got quite a bit to say about it. That is Toy Battle. I also picked up a game of En Route. So this is another flip and write style game. I remember watching some content on this and it really appealing to me, but I've kind of forgotten about that since. But basically, you have multiple maps. You're trying to draw a route and visit different spaces, achieve objectives, all the things you'd expect from a flip and write route building style game. But this one sounds like it's kind of a step above. There's quite a lot going on, hopefully not too much. But it just looks quite appealing, and again, lots of variety there as well. So hopefully this one's going to be a good one. That is En Route. And the only 2 games that I don't have physically, one here is Galilei, a game that I've been wanting to play for so long. I kind of have played this one. I have recorded my thoughts on it. So this one, just keep an eye out for it ready. It was one of the last kind of check boxes that I wanted to play before making my definitive top 10 games of 2024. So hopefully that video will be out soon. I'll have time to record it. And I also picked up the 3rd expansion for Forest Shuffle. I forget what it's called, but it's the one with the caves, where you have asymmetric powers based on the caves that you have, which can score you points in different ways. And of course, it just adds more cards into the set as well. So with games like Forest Shuffle, I think more is always more, because you can create new combos and so on. As long as those cards in different scoring categories remain balanced, or relatively so, then I'm pretty happy with just more cards. So that is the newest expansion for Forest Shuffle. And that's all of the games that I have acquired. Again, some interesting ones in my opinion here to cover and talk about. Some older games, some newer games, and some ones that I'm really excited to share my thoughts on, and excited to play and get to the table. So hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please be sure to hit like and subscribe to the channel, and check out my other content too. But for everybody else, I'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. Bye bye.